Today we're taking a look at this new urban commuting bike, the Troxus Trax SUV. Whether you are looking for something for commuting or say something for deliveries such as Uber Eats, then this bike might be a good option for you. Now at the end of this video I will go over a list of the pros of this bike and also a couple cons and really one thing I would like to see change. But first let's go over the specs and then we'll go over some of the features and also how the ride went. Whether you're looking to just cruise around or maybe something to explore a new town in, then this bike could be a good option for you. As we take a look at the new Troxus Trax SUV bike, this bike will come with a 750 watt motor providing 85 Newton meters of torque. Powering the 750 watt motor is a removable battery which, when you look at the top, does have a small indicator light to give you an idea of what the state of charge is, and this is going to be a 48 volt battery that's 15 amp hours or about 720 watt hours. The bike will come with removable hand grips for easy replacement along with a multi-function keypad which, when you do press the plus button, this will adjust the pass or pedal assist feature from 1 up to 5. And when tapping the left button, this is going to turn on your left turn signal, which these indicator lights are actually pretty bright. If you press and hold the left button, this will change your odometer or trip meter to run you through other functions on the display. By pressing and tapping the right button will indicate your right turn signal, and by pressing and holding the right side, this will turn on and off your headlight, which also adjusts the display brightness. Pressing and holding the bottom button will activate the walk feature if you need assistance walking this maybe up a hill. The left side is where you will find your throttle assist, which this is activated with your thumb, and on the right side is where you will find a thumb and finger trigger to activate or change gears, which I do prefer this type. Your shifter will provide you with 9 different speeds on this cassette, and the components are going to be provided by Shimano. You will see a swing arm chain guide protector along with a front sprocket protector to help keep your legs or your pants from getting dirty. The bike will come with Tektro hydraulic disc brakes, and in the front and rear you will see 180mm disc rotors. The front suspension is provided by Suntour and does have preload adjustments along with a suspension lockout. On the rear you will find a monoshock that does have adjustments and also a lockout feature. If you wanted to turn this into more of a hardtail bike, you can adjust the compression feature with adding more air or adjusting rebound from faster or slower. You will see an upper linkage and single pivot point on this full suspension bike that does well at absorbing the terrain. When looking on the lower frame, you will see a QR code for warranty information, the size of the bike, and also the class. The bike will come with a full rear and also front fender, which this will help keep debris and also water from spraying up on you and the bike. Under those fenders you will see a Kenda tire on the front and rear, which are 27.5 inches in diameter by 2.4 inches wide, and they are a medium type all-terrain tire which provides plenty of traction for most conditions. And on the rear you will see a bike rack that can hold a decent amount of weight at about 55 pounds but is not meant for an additional rider. Now, like all bikes, you will have to do a little bit of assembly, but this one is not bad and the instructions are pretty clear, and also the packaging on this bike was really well as there was no damage. And when you do get this out, this is the accessories that will come with it along with this battery charger that will take about 7 hours to fully charge your bike. Okay, one of the things I like to do is start off with 100% battery and then also start with 0 pedal assist just to see if the battery dies, can I actually ride this bike up a small hill like this one, which doing it one-handed is a little bit tougher, but with having 9 speeds versus 7 like most e-bikes, it normally doesn't allow me to make it up the hill, so that's the benefit of having 9 gears versus the 7 most e-bikes come with. Now, as I headed out to get an idea and also a feel for this bike, this already reminds me of a more conventional bike. Okay, with fat tire bikes being kind of all the rage, I'm already enjoying this bike as it is more of a traditional bike with skinnier tires. It's easier to maneuver, it just feels like something you've grown up with versus the fat tire bikes. Now, I will be checking to see if the speedometer is accurate. My ride is really going to consist of me being in pass 4 and pass 5 for this whole test, so we'll see how many miles we can put on at about maybe the 50% level, and just to kind of see how this handles and also how it does on some hills. Now I'm also going to be testing the torque sensing and also the cadence power of this bike. Right now, using just torque, this is typically what you would normally ride your bike as. The pedaling is really consistent. I don't feel the bike wanting to jerk and kind of pedal ahead of me. It just kind of gives power as needed as I pedal. And again, so far, this bike is really easy to ride at slow speeds, or later I will be testing some faster speeds, but so far this bike just feels good. Now I did take this on a couple of off-road trails such as this one here, which these tires do just fine as they are kind of a hybrid tire. And if you think about it, most times you don't even need what a fat tire bike does. Most people are not always riding in the sand, and these types of tires go plenty of places, so if you're looking to explore, this bike can definitely still do it. Now I did manage to stop at an all-terrain park, which this bike is not really meant for this type of stuff, but I will admit it was still kind of fun just to cruise around on an e-bike at basically a bike or skate park, which I do have to remind myself that, well, I'm not exactly 20 years old anymore, so I did just kind of take it easy. Now, if you are going to just use the throttle only, regardless if you are on pedal assist 1 or through 5, it is only going to top out at 20 miles per hour. Now, when you are in torque sensing mode, the bike will only go as fast as you pedal it, and it will help and assist you to get to top speed, but in cadence mode, you really don't have to pedal at all. All you have to do is keep the pedals moving even at a super slow speed, and the bike will gradually go all the way up to the rated 28 miles per hour, which this is where I also checked the speedometer, which during several tests, I found it was only about 0.5 miles per hour off, which is actually really good as some bikes can be 1 or even up to 2 miles per hour off. Now when it does come to the suspension, this did really well. Now I did have to lower the PSI, which we will talk about in a little bit, as when I did get on the bike, it was a little bit stiff at first. Now during my ride, I do like to try different types of terrains, but also adding hills. There's a couple spots that I use for testing to kind of gauge the amount of torque the motor will have. More quality bikes will tend to have better motors and better batteries, providing more torque or more speed up the hill, which I use a 10 mile per hour mark, which this one never did drop below 10, which basically passes my test. Now, if you do like going a little bit faster and wondering how nimble a bike might be, being that this one does have skinnier tires, again, it just feels like more of a normal bike, and you can definitely keep your speed up through these little chicanes without feeling like the bike wants to over or understeer, which overall, this bike just seems comfortable in most all conditions. I will say, after riding this bike for a few hours, I did like it. I think it's definitely something you could use for commuting, and I'll talk about some of my final thoughts. Okay, so now we'll go over a couple of the pros of this bike. Now, one thing too with height is that I'm about 5'11", so for me this bike does fit pretty well. But if you are really short, it is very possible that this seat post will not go down far enough to where you might be able to get up on the seat comfortably. So I think with a post all the way down, you could definitely fit. Plus with a low frame, if you have mobility problems, this does allow you to get into the saddle a lot easier, and the handlebars are fully adjustable. So you can really get yourself a lot of different adjustments when it does come to setting this bike up for you. Okay, first power. Now when it does come to the power of this bike, it is a 750 watt motor that actually did really well because it is a quality motor and a name brand. So there is a decent amount of torque, and it was able to get me up the hills staying at approximately 10 miles an hour or more. That's something I use to at least gauge how much torque is in a motor, the quality of the motor, and more, because some of them will drop on that same ride down to 6 or 7 miles an hour, which isn't really that great. Now, of course, performance is going to be really on the conditions and also the rider weight and maybe the amount of gear that you take with you. So with me, I was about 215 pounds with the amount of gear that I had with me, because I did have quite a bit of stuff with me in my bag, plus some water and more. Now when it does come to our battery, this is a 15 amp hour battery, but I was still able to get over 22 miles on that short ride that I did. This left me with about 42% of the battery capacity left, and considering the conditions, a lot of hills, staying in pass 4 and also 5, I was definitely working it quite a bit. So as far as max range of 70 miles, it definitely seems like this is possible, depending again on conditions and of course the pass number or how much you're going to help it along, or if you're just going to press the throttle throttle, then you're probably looking at about 40 miles max. Now, when it comes to suspension, the suspension did well, but when I did first get the bike, this does have a way to adjust the air pressure, and I did find when I did get the bike, it was around 180, almost 200 PSI. I ended up lowering the PSI down to about 125. This provided a much more comfortable ride, as this actually soaked up a lot more of the bumps, and it just seemed like it wasn't quite as harsh. And again, that's also going to depend on the rider weight or maybe the amount of load that you're carrying with you. Now, as far as the ergonomics of the bike and just riding it in general, it was definitely comfortable. It rode really nice. It doesn't ride like a fat tire bike. It corners well and it handles good just in all aspects. And honestly, it's a pleasure to ride. This doesn't feel like some of the cheaper bikes that you see that are under $1,000. Now, of course, this one is a little bit more, so hence the quality is nicer, but you are going to have to pay for that. Another thing you get with a quality bike is also a warranty. This one has a 5-year warranty on it, or 5,000 miles, and they pretty much call it a bumper-to-bumper warranty, which you just don't see that with cheaper model bikes. Hence, that's also part of the reason that this one is a little bit more expensive, is that you are getting that coverage, which I've already had a problem with one of the bikes that I ended up receiving under $1,000. I ended up having the charger go out, and it was actually kind of like pulling teeth just to get somebody to replace it. It took a long time, versus these guys have contact information, and again, with the warranty, you should be able to get parts, and you can get a new charger if you need one, so that's also something that you got to think about. Okay, let's go to cons. Now, when it comes to this bike, honestly, there's not really too many. One of the cons is, again, you have to think about this, is that the price is a little bit high, but you have to remember you're getting a quality bike with a quality motor. You're also getting a quality battery pack, and those are the things that you want, plus the warranty. So hence the price is high. It's not really a pro, it's not really a con, it's just kind of in the middle. So that's something you have to consider. Now, another con, which maybe it's not really a con, it's more of a personal preference, but towards the end of the ride, when I got to around that 21 to 22 mile mark, just as I was getting home, I did notice that I was kind of ready to get off the bike. But again, not a lot of people ride 22 miles one direction, not to mention I was getting on and off the bike because I was taking video footage, but I wouldn't mind maybe seeing a slightly different design seat. I don't know, it might work for some people, but again, that's more of a personal preference. Okay, so maybe the last thing really isn't so much a con as really a big personal preference, and this is where it comes to throttle placement. If you take a look, the throttle is on the left side. There are several other e-bikes where the throttle is on the right. And the reason I say this is because if you have a motorcycle license, the throttle is on the right side. If you ride any mopeds, go-peds, small scooters, the throttle will be on the right. In America, all of our power sports products, whether you're riding a dirt bike or a jet ski or even a quad, you will find the throttle will be on the right side. Even a lot of the scooters that we buy, the throttle is on the right. So that is something I would like to see change, because having it on the left, and if you're used to everything being on the right, this does cause a little bit of confusion. So for personal preference, just for me, I would like it moved. Again, a personal preference. So now that you guys have seen the Troxus Trax SUV bike, what do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. You can also find discounts and more information. I hope you guys liked the video, and I hope to see you in another one.